You see, one thing which is for sure, which everybody knows, is one's own weakness. More than the power which one can hold inside of oneself. And these weaknesses, it's things which we don't want to acknowledge. And time to time they surface themselves and show the power. Weaknesses are there, not only in this life, you have been also certain weaknesses which you carry from many lives also, but these are deep inside. What Bhagavan Krishna spoke about the weaknesses of Arjuna is the weakness of the outside firstly. You see, what is dear to him is what you can see, what you can touch, what you can, which the five senses are bind to. These are weaknesses. Weakness of touch, weakness of smell, weakness of taste, weakness of what your eyes perceive, weakness what you hear. These are intermediate weaknesses which in reality you can change. If these weaknesses you don't change firstly, then you're still weak. So that's what Krishna said to Arjuna. First overcome these weaknesses. The weaknesses which Krishna spoke to Arjuna at the Mahabharata war is the external weaknesses. His weaknesses was not his strength, because he was a very strong warrior, and his also determination was very strong. You see. But the weaknesses, what he perceived of the outside, the weaknesses of being with the family, what he was seeing, his teacher, and so on. That's the weaknesses which he said, first overcome that. Overcome that these people which is in front of you are not really your people. Even if they have put an image of, yes, they are the dear one, these people which you have been, close to, but in reality, no. They are not close to you. They are your enemy. Same thing when you are confronted with certain quality which awake inside of you. Very often you don't want to see it, because these qualities, you think that they make you weak. But what really makes you weak at that point is your mind. No? Because your mind perceived it in a very different ways but what it is. That's why when you tell somebody the truth about themselves, they never want to hear. But when you lie and flatter and embellish it and tell somebody, they like to hear it. Because untruth is very suited. If somebody come and criticize you, tell you, oh, you are wrong, you are like this, you are like that, or you are just, this is the truth. You would like to hear that? No, you don't want to hear that. Because you are so much trained of hearing false, You are so much trained on hearing, you're beautiful, when you're, of course your inner beauty is beautiful, but if somebody tells you directly confront you to that reality, you don't want to hear it. This is how you felt, oh, that person have offended me, or that person have hurt me. Because you're not acknowledging what the person is telling you. So same thing with Krishna in the battlefield, Arjuna was there saying, these people are not really your friend, but in reality they are your worst enemies. They have just masqueraded themselves, they have just embellished themselves as a friend. They just appeared as being a friend, but in reality no. They are like sheep dressed in wolf dressed in a sheep skin. So the same thing, the inner weakness when it awakes is due to the outside reality only. Inner weakness, also weakness from past will not awake just like this, They will awake only when it's time to awake. To wait for the right moment when you are in a position where you're super weak. And we will notice something like that, but very often people say, when a problem arises, it's not only one problem that arises. A problem have always a chain of problem attached to itself, that will that leads somebody to say, oh my goodness, one is not enough, another one come, because this is how it is. They wait for the right moment, when you are weak in yourself. When you're weak in yourself, of course, then every problem arises one to the other. It's not that they were not there; they were always there. It's just that you didn't perceive it, because when you were in your strong, in your strength, of course it doesn't matter. Even if they pass and appear in front of you, it doesn't matter. But once you are in your weakness, then they try to show you all this. But what you should do during this time is to hold upon also your inner power. As much as you have weaknesses, you're also strong to overcome it. This is a time of test where you have also to hold on strongly to your sadhana, to your spiritual practices, to hold strongly on the name of God. Where very often people don't realize, what power does the name of God hold. Very often we tell so many stories, even in Atma Kriya you tell so many stories, but the name of God is not just a name, So we say, in the name, whenever you chant the name of God, if you really hold upon its power, these weaknesses will not be there. It's like trusting completely into God. But if you hold upon the weaknesses, it's always an attitude of the mind. Where you focus your mind, what you feed your mind with, that's what you become. It's like you are seated in front of you. There's a plate of whole negativity. If you start eating that, do you think you'll become positive? No, you will not. You will become always negative. But if you feed your mind with positiveness, love, and so on, qualities, that you become. But if you feed your mind with negativity and anything, don't think that you will become powerful, strong. You become weak. But when the mind will perceive you for some time that it is very powerful, yes, you are right, this is how it must be. But this is a delusion where it gets you. And that's where you lose your strength. That's why Krishna keeps repeating that same sentence on and on and on and on until the mind of Arjuna is completely cleansed of that negativity, cleansed of that weaknesses. He's keeping reminding him of his duty, that he should not run away. The same thing you should do in life also, you see. Whenever you perceive your weakness, remind yourself of your dharma, remind yourself of why you are here. What is your aim? It is. Keep reminding, even 100 times you have to remind yourself. Keep reminding yourself. So this is how you overcome the weaknesses on the